You know, in every era, across every land, some things change, while others, they just endure. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and timeless of those constants, the bond within the Islamic family. Let's dive right into this incredible story of love, faith, and legacy. This idea right here, this is our starting point, and it's not just a nice saying, it's the heart of a story that honestly reflects a universal truth for millions of people. We're going to see how this bond is forged, how it's tested, and how it gets passed down, generation after generation. So what makes this bond so resilient? What's the secret sauce? Well, it's not an accident. It's actually built on a really solid foundation. Let's take a look at the core pillars that have been holding up Islamic families for centuries.
Okay, this slide breaks it down beautifully. Think of it like a tree. Faith is the spiritual root, giving it all guidance. Trust is the strong core, the trunk, giving it stability. And then respect, well, that branches out, shaping every single interaction in the family. And in this whole framework, there's this deep belief in complementary roles, where boys are raised to be protectors and girls are seen as this special blessing, both growing from that same strong foundation.
Now, to really get this, let's zoom in from the big picture. Let's go to a small village and meet two people whose story just brings all of these pillars to life, a brother and sister named Yusuf and Amina. Just picture this for a second. A young boy, only 6, meeting his baby sister for the very first time. It's one of those moments of just pure, unfiltered connection. And the second he held her tiny hand, you can just imagine something shifted inside him and a lifelong promise started to form. And get this wasn't a promise he said out loud. It was one made silently, right from the heart. What's so amazing is that this simple, internal vow from a 6-year-old kid becomes the very seed of their incredible bond. It's a promise of protection and love that's going to define their entire relationship.
Now, it's super important to know that their story doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It actually echoes this legacy that stretches back for centuries. We see this kind of powerful bond in some of the most revered figures in Islamic history, like the Prophet's daughter Fatima and his grandson Hassan, who were honored with the phrase, "May Allah be pleased with them," and in countless other siblings who stood by each other through migration, hardship, and conflict.
And you know, as they grew up, their bond wasn't built on these huge, grand gestures. It was all in the little things, the small, consistent acts of love. He protected her on the way to school. She'd save him the last piece of bread. He taught her simple prayers, her du'as. She'd remind him of his own. It was this beautiful give-and-take relationship.
But of course, let's be real, they weren't perfect. They fought, they laughed, probably in the same hour sometimes. But that foundation was so strong that it allowed them to bend without ever breaking. They learned to forgive, to heal, and to always stand together in the end.
But like any bond that's truly strong, it was destined to be tested. Life threw a challenge at their family that would push their faith, their resilience, and their love for each other to the absolute limit.
And just like that, everything changed. That warmth in their home was suddenly replaced by fear, by uncertainty. With their father so sick and their mother struggling to cope, the weight of the world just fell onto the shoulders of 2 kids.
At just 15, can you imagine? At an age when most of us are thinking about school and friends, Yusuf took a job. He stepped up and became a provider. And at the same time, Amina did her part at home, stitching clothes to help make ends meet. They were carrying a burden that honestly should have broken them.
So what held them together through all of that? It was their faith. This verse from the Quran, for them, it wasn't just words on a page. It was like a whisper of hope in their absolute darkest moments. It was the promise that their struggle wasn't for nothing and that ease would eventually come. And for them, that was enough.
Okay, so let's zoom back out. Yusuf and Amina, they're grown now, and their story is incredibly powerful. But here's the most important part. Their story isn't just theirs. It's the story of countless Muslim brothers and sisters from every single corner of the world.
And this brings us to this really profound concept. The love between family members in Islam, it's not just an emotional connection. It can actually be elevated to what's called ibadat, an act of worship. So every time Yusuf walked Amina to school, every time she saved him that piece of bread, it was like a small act of devotion. How beautiful is that?
So as we wrap up this explainer, the message gets really personal. It moves from their story to yours. If you are blessed enough to have a sibling,
Don't wait. Seriously, the greatest acts are often the simplest ones. Call them, send them a message. Just
Connect with them right now.
And when you do, be direct. Tell them you love them. Reinforce that bond, the one that has its roots in something so much bigger than just the two of you.
Because in the end, family isn't just about blood, it's seen as a divine gift, a sacred trust. And that leaves all of us with a question to really think about. Their story is written, so how will you write yours?